Cool. Stuart, hey man, Morale, hey, how's it going? John, I'm sure you were talking with Jesse. Jesse's great. He's also a well-versed options trader. Um, but John, what's a little bit about your background, your history?
Yeah, I'm just on 50 years old. Have owned and run 3 or 4 real estate businesses here in Sydney, Australia for 30 years. Have just sold those and looking to try something new for the second part of my adult life.
I love it. 50 years young, huh? And what does that mean?
Correct.
A few real estate companies. So, has it been different types of real estate? Have you done the same type and you just sell one, start another, or what does that look like?
Local real estate agent in a suburban area of Sydney, and sort of owned and run 3 or 4 residential real estate agencies in a particular area. And very successful. Made a bit of money, but time to try something new.
Cool. I love it. All right, perfect. So before I go into the whiteboard, we're going to break down a call, put. What are those things? If you have any questions, let me know. I'll answer those first, and then we can break down just the premise of what a call is, what a put is, and how we can use it in trading. So if you got any questions, let me know. Either speak it out, chat it out, and we'll go from there. If not, we'll hop over into a whiteboard and get the party started.
Sounds good.
So my artwork is wonderful. So I have to, preface that. You can take screenshots. I just ask if you sell it, that, you give me a little kickback for the artwork. But the best way that I know how to describe what a call is to think of a coupon. So you can think of like maybe whenever kids do fundraisings and stuff, they sell like coupon books, and it's something like, hey, buy this coupon book for like $25, and it has, $1,000 worth of coupons in it. You pay a little bit of money for it, and you pay a little bit of money for this coupon book, but the goal is that it gives you more money or more value off than the actual price that you paid for it. So let's just say this is a coupon here, and how you paid for this. Let's say you paid $1, but it gives you $1.50 off. And this is explaining what a call is. So over here we have, this is just going to be a jug of milk. We're just going to write M for milk. This jug of milk is going for $3 on the open market. And then you take the coupon, and you paid $1 for this, and now you're able to get $1.50 off of this milk. So what it works out to is 3, you minus your $1.50 up here, and you're seemingly able to get this milk out the store for $1.50. However, you paid $1 for that, and so your total out the door money is $2.50. So we can use calls like this. We pay a little bit of money to get a coupon to buy some milk. So we might pay, a fraction of the actual price of the milk, and we get this coupon, and in doing so, it gives us the right to buy the milk at the agreed upon price, which would be $1.50 off. And, we can use it as an expiration date. Let's say it expires in a month from there. So a call is the same way, is that whenever we go long or buy to open a call, all we're doing is we're putting down a little bit of money to have this right to access this coupon. And this coupon, in turn, we can exchange it to buy stock on the open market, which in this little illustration represents milk. We can buy stock on the open market or milk at a discounted price, and it allows us to acquire the stock cheaper if we want to acquire it. But John, you talk about real estate. We might use this coupon, spend $1 for it, and we don't ever want to control the milk. We don't ever want to control the stock. We just want to have the access the right, we can in turn sell this contract, this coupon here, and make a little bit of profit in doing so.
Yeah. That's similar to property. Can you just define what long and short means?
Yep. It's so if you haven't already, John, there is a Lingo cheat sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got a ton of resources in there. But long is just another way to say buying.
Yeah.
Short is just another way to say selling.
Right. Got it.
With stocks, you can buy to open, but you can also sell to open, and you can buy to close, and you can sell to close. So in any transaction that you have with a stock or an option, in this case, we're talking about options, there's always going to be a buy and a sell, and there's always going to be an open and a close. Now, those four can be jumbled around, but they're going to be partnered up with a buy or sell and an open or a close. And so you can, when you're going long, you're considered to be buying to open. You're opening the position with the intentionality of buying it. Whereas you go short, you're selling a position to open, which it can get kind of confusing. But the best way to understand short is that you borrow something, sell it to someone else, and then you're obligated to fulfill what you borrowed. The goal is that you would borrow something, sell it at, let's say, $5, and then you find it somewhere else on the market for $3, and you repay what you owe, and you're able to keep that difference. And so,
got it.
Yeah. So long, oftentimes when we go long, we have especially when you go long in stocks, you have a bullish or an assumption that the direction of that security, that stock, is moving upwards. And when you go short, in stocks, you have a assumption that the underlying security is moving downwards. And we can use that with calls and options, with calls and puts in options. So calls, whenever they make money, whenever you're long or you've bought to open and the underlying security moves up, because as the underlying, let's say the gallon of milk over here, let's say it was at $5 on the market instead of $3. We'd still have this coupon over here that allows us to acquire that milk at a cheaper price. And so we're able to make money as this thing, continues to move upwards. We're able to still make money because we have this coupon that gives us the right to buy or control the milk for, a discounted price or a lower price. And this would represent our strike price. So in options, the premise of an option is it's a contract. It's a lot like real estate. It's a contract between a buyer and a seller. Let's see if I can erase all of this. It's a contract between a buyer and a seller. And let's do just a smiley face over here. And a smiley face over here. This is going to be the seller. This is going to be the buyer. And let's say the seller is selling this house, and they're selling it at $200,000. And this buyer comes through, walks through the house, and says, yes, I like this house. Check, let's enter into contract, seller, so that I can buy this house. They enter into a contract, squiggly diggly, and the buyer now has the right to buy the underlying house for the agreed upon price of $200,000. And often this contract is good for about 30 to 60 days. And now this buyer over here has this right to control this house, but let's say something really fancy got built over here. It's something that everybody wants. Maybe it's a Starbucks or a shopping center or something. And now this house is worth $300,000. This buyer, because he entered into contract with the seller for $200,000, and he has the right for the next 60 days to buy that house at $200,000. Even though the house has increased in value by $100,000, this buyer is still able to purchase the house at the lower price of $200,000 because of the contract down here. In this example, this contract represents an option, which is an agreement between a buyer and a seller to buy the underlying security at an agreed upon price within an agreed upon time frame. And so as the house continues to increase, let's say something really other fancy came up here, or maybe the mayor moved next door, or something really cool happened, and now this house is up to $400,000. It's just, it's growing like money on trees over here. This buyer, if it's still within the 60 days, still could purchase this house at $200,000 because of this contract. And so we can use these contracts to control assets like this house. And our goal, obviously, is to potentially make a deal to be able to capture equity in the house as the underlying security, moves. We can take advantage of our contract and execute and, find ourselves a bargain or a deal. Or let's say we never really wanted to control this house. We never wanted to buy this house in the outright, but we love this contract because I know another investor over here that would go mad for this contract. Another investor that would maybe want to flip the property, they would go, yeah, let me have that house, that underlying security for that really cheap price, and maybe you'll sell it to me for for a little bit of profit here. And we can do this in options as well. And so we can use options to give us a discount on stocks, but we can also, which is what I'll teach you guys, is to just essentially sell these contracts in trading. And so we're never really looking at controlling the house, although houses are great and stocks are great. We're just looking at kind of rinsing, repeating this process here. And what it allows us to do is trade or generate income with a lot less capital. So this house, as mentioned, was $200,000 and it grew all the way up to $400,000. But to enter into this contract, we might only pay, a little bit of money, maybe a few $100.
So that guy's gone long when he originally signed the option contract, right?
That's correct. Yeah, he's gone long in this position. He's the buyer, so he's buying to open this contract, and it gives him the right over here. Do you want me to break down a short example of real estate, or?
Yeah, if you could. Then
yeah, let's do it. Now, mind you, the more that you just kind of go through this process and kind of rinse and repeat, it's going to make sense. I don't expect this to make sense to you right out the gates. If it does, wow, you are a superhero. But let's show you a short position of this. And so here's the house. And there's still a seller here. And you're a middle person over here. We're just, you're just going to be a middle person. And so the seller is trying to sell this house. They have it listed on the market, $200,000. You say, okay, great. I think this house is actually going to go down to $100,000. You think this house is going to lose money because over here there's a trash dump and that stinky, smelly stuff. So there's that a trash dump is going to get built, and you think the house is going to go from $200,000 down to $100,000. But you know someone that really wants a house. And so what you do is you say, hey, I know someone over here that really wants a house, and that they're willing to buy it at $200,000. They're willing to buy a house at $200,000. So you go, hey, Mr. Seller, I know someone. Can I borrow your house if I can get it sold for you? In real estate, this is often referred to as wholesale. Mm-hmm. And say yes, and then you create the contract to sell the house at $200,000. And now you take that to your friend that wants to buy the house at $200,000, except it has a stipulation. You say, hey, I have this house that you want. It's got all the features and amenities that you want. And you really like it. You're excited about it. It's your dream home. we're gonna. I have it under contract here, but you have to buy it at $200,000. Do you want the home? You do. Perfect. Let's do the deal. So this guy gives you He gives you $200,000 for the property. You give him the contract to the property, but now the property has gone down to $100,000. So you're able to keep the difference between these two.
Yeah.
So you sold it to this guy. It's his dream home. It's what he wants. You say, that's great. I know it. You go and sell it to him at the agreed upon price of $200,000. And then now the house has gone down to $100,000. You're able to buy it from this seller at the now realized realized value of $100,000. You take it and you sell it to this guy at $200,000. And so you never really owned this thing outright. You just borrowed it for a short time, maybe a few days or something, and you gave it to someone who wanted it at that price that you already agreed upon. Now, could this person who wanted it at the $200,000, could they go and buy it on the open market at this $100,000? They could, but for some odd reason they don't. And that happens all the time in real estate. It's like, why are you paying me an extra $5,000 to do this deal? Just put myself in the middle of it. You're okay with the deal. I'm okay with the deal. It's a win-win-win all around. And so that's you're essentially borrowing something for a short period of time. You're borrowing it and then you're selling it at a higher price to someone who wants it. And then you're buying it back at a lower price and you get to keep the difference.
Got it.
Perfect. All right. So let's see. So we talked about call is a coupon where we might pay a little bit of money, like $1 to control, and it gives us $1.50 off. So it's a no-brainer. We put a little bit of money down, and we're able to acquire an underlying asset, control an underlying asset for a less price. Now, a put is the opposite of a call. There's what's really great about options is that there's 2 ways that you can make money, or 3 ways actually. You can make money with calls. Directionally trading, if you have a bullish standpoint, if you buy to open, you would say, hey, I think this security is going up. You get that coupon that gives you the right to buy or control the stock at a lower price. Or you can make money in puts, which if you buy to open, go long, it's a lot like an insurance policy. And the way that would work is here's a car. Here's a car, and it's valued at $100,000. And you really like this car, so you put insurance on it. And you enter into a premium contract. Again, it's a contract. And you pay every month, or maybe you pay once every 6 months or something like that. But you pay, or annually something. You're paying premium. We're just going to say monthly in this case. So you pay premium monthly in this case to control or to insure this car, that if this car were to wreck up in flames, that you would still be able to have or buy another car at $100,000. So even if this car's value went down to 0, you could exercise your insurance contract over here that you paid premium for to be able to get $100,000. The insurance company would say, yes, you have insurance, you had full coverage, you did get into a wreck, the car is now worth 0, but because the car is worth 0 and you had insurance with us, you can now exit this entire situation, and you would have your $100,000 value where you can go and buy another car, or you could do whatever you would like with it.
So Tim, this is Stuart. Can you hear me?
Hey, Stuart.
Hey, how are you? I had some audio troubles earlier.
Okay.
So let me make sure I'm understanding. So if you buy to open a call,
mm-hmm.
Are you saying that you're then insuring it essentially with a buy to open put?
No, I'm just breaking down calls and puts in the sense of buying to open. So with a call is like a coupon, which
Right.
we pay a little bit of money, and it gives us the ability to acquire the stock at an agreed upon price that we agree. And it makes money as calls make money is when you buy to open as the underlying security moves up because that coupon gives us, a discounted rate.
Right.
So if the coupon said I could buy that milk at $2 no matter what, and let's say there was a milk shortage and a gallon of milk went up to $10, that coupon would still give me the right to buy the milk at $2. So
And
as we buy to open, go long in a call, they make money as the underlying security goes up. We make money. So I could then, let's say there is that milk shortage that happens. I would, and the price of milk goes up to $10. I could use that coupon that gives me the right to buy the milk at $2, and then I could instantly turn around and sell the milk at $10, and I would make that difference.
that I understand. I'm confused by the insurance portion of it that you're
Okay.
diagramming here, though.
Yeah, sure. So insurance is the put side.
Right.
So two different types of options. There's call and puts. Insurance is the put portion of it, and puts make money if the underlying security goes down. The reason why is that if this car is worth, you buy it, and it's at the time that you buy it, it's worth $100,000, and you open up an insurance policy on it. This insurance policy gives you the right to sell this car essentially any situation at $100,000. So if
Right.
it's completely wrecked, like, no one wants to total a car, but let's say it's completely wrecked, and it goes down to zero. There's just for some odd reason that you can't even get a scrap metal out of this thing. It's just zero. What would happen is that this thing is worth absolutely nothing, but you have the right to sell it at $100,000. So as this thing, let's say it went down to only $50,000. So it got into a wreck and it was kind of maybe a major wreck, but not completely totaled. It goes down to $50,000. You could still sell this thing at the insured price of $100,000. This is the agreed upon insurance coverage. Just like the coupon is the agreed upon, hey, you can buy that gallon of milk at $2 no matter what. Well, the agreed upon insurance coverage for this example is $100,000. So even if this thing goes down to $50,000 because it got into a wreck and it's in pain, you still have the right to sell this thing at $100,000. And who's taking the loss here? It's the person who insured you. The insurance company's taking the loss here. So why would they want to do that? Because for some odd reason they said you're not going to get into a wreck. You're a good driver. You've never had wreck. You never had a wreck, and we only think that this, you only drive it 10 miles a week anyways, so you're never going to get into wreck. But so since you won't get into wreck, we'll take your money every month. You'll pay us a premium to give it. But then you did get into a wreck, and they lose $50,000, but you're still covered because you have that insurance policy that gives you the right to sell this thing at $100,000.
So is the strategy that we are being taught for every long call, for example, that we would be placing, that we would also then be placing the put for the insurance policy, essentially?
No, you can do that. I won't be instructing that or teaching that. The reason why is oftentimes if you do that, if you go long in both a call and a put, as this one decreases in value, just like this example, like let's say the car decreased in value, as this one decreases in value, this one will likely increase in value by equal amounts.
Okay.
So this is a strategy that's you can look it up. It would be called a long straddle. I won't do this because it just doesn't. It's not worth it. It doesn't work. Essentially, will it work sometimes? Yes, but what I'm teaching you guys and building you into is what's called high probability trading. And so right now in this moment, I'm teaching you a long call, and I'm of the coupon and a long put of the insurance. We're going to get into the short version of that. And I broke it down a little bit where you borrow something and sell it at a higher price, and the goal is that you buy it back at a lower price. but that's a little bit down the road. We've got to first understand the basics of long positions. And then once you understand a long call and you understand a long put, then you can get into a place of understanding a short version of that. And that's where I'll take you guys. And once you understand going long and short, that's where you'll be able to hedge yourself. So
Okay.
you'll be able to sell one against another and just a slightly, further out strike or this. It's getting a little advanced, but we'll be able to hedge ourselves by going long and short in calls or long and short in puts together. And that's where our hedge, our protection will come. But first, we've got to understand, what is a long call? How does it work? What is a long put? How does it work? And then we'll begin to build on that foundation.
Okay.
Perfect.
Hey, Tim, this is Murali. I have a question.
Emily.
So, who introduced these options into the market? The dealer,
Like,
puts on calls.
Who introduces options overall, or how did options come about?
Yeah, who introduced into the market? I mean, for any specific stocks, is it the stock company or
It is,
like
yes.
there's a
Yeah, so every company decides if they want to provide the option to have options. So Coca-Cola, it does provide options. It's an optionable stock. They say, yes, we'll allow options on our shares. So every company will choose that. And then there's a term called the market maker. And that's the big institutional traders that are actually out on the floor in Chicago or New York or wherever the exchange is. And they're the big fish, and they're the ones that determine the price of it. And they determine another factor, which is we'll get a lot more into, called the volatility, the future forecast of volatility. It's called implied volatility. They also determine that, and we'll use those things in our advantage going forward. So yes, it is the actual company that decides, do we want to provide options? And then it's the big institutional traders that determine some other aspects such as pricing and future forecasts of volatility.
Sure, thank you. And where does a bid or ask fall into this options? I wasn't sure.
Where does a bid and ask come into?
Yeah.
Like, how is it applicable? So the big fish, the market makers, they're the persons who have you ever heard the golden rule? Those with the gold makes the rules. They're the people, the big fish, and so they say, hey, if we're going to sell this underlying security, if it's an option or an actual stock, we're going to sell it at this price. And if someone is going to buy it, they're going to buy it at this lower price. And so they're the ones that create that. And often that bid by ask spread, the further it is, the more volatile the stock is. The closer it is, like if it's only pennies, then the less volatile that stock is. But the market makers or the big fish are the ones that determine that bid by ask spread in options.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Perfect. So what about this insurance? Does it make sense? Would you like me to break it down further? How are you guys feeling about the put aspect?
I've got it.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. I like it. Perfect. So is there any other kind of questions that I can answer for you guys while I've got you? We're going to be building a lot. And if you haven't gotten it already, trading in the zone as far as your mental mindset is huge. If you own businesses or if you've done investing before, you're going to have a little bit of an edge. If you haven't, that's okay. We all start somewhere. But you'll hear me talk about often that trading is 90% mindset, and then it's 10% like actionable plan. And so one of the biggest things that a new trader can do is begin to drill down into the mindset of investing and actually trading itself. And so Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas is a great book that helps to develop and build that in the topic of trading. But really any book that you have interest of, there maybe someone referred you to, is that is around the topic of wealth mindset or growth mindset or abundance mindset. All of that is going to help you drastically as we continue the learning journey of the practicals of actually trading stock options.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey Tim,
After the 6 modules, what happens from there? Where are we looking to get? I know we're trying to get a education and understanding of trading options.
Right.
Have you got a sort of overview of where we should be looking to get to?
Yeah. So by the 6th module, you should be able to find, place, and manage your own trades. So the goal is that by that 6th module is that you're able to go through the checklist, you're able to know your do's and don'ts, you have that trade plan, and then you can actually start trading. Now, if you want to start trading by yourself, that's absolutely fine. I would say dive into community in the Facebook group and bounce off of people ideas and stuff, because community is going to be a huge asset to help you continue to learn at a rapid rate. And then also partnered with Boom Options, there's going to be trade alerts where you would be able to see what the 360 trading family does, just how they're trading, what they're trading and stuff. So you can kind of look over their shoulder as as you're getting your own sea legs, stuff like that. You could see what they're doing and say, hey, why are they doing this and stuff like that. And so the goal is that at the end of this course, you're self-sufficient. If you're like, hey, I'm feeling good, but I'd like to continue to learn, I want to watch how full-time traders are trading, then maybe those trade alerts could be an option as well.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Tim, as far as the the recommendation to continue charting the Dow 30, can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, obviously we're looking for to plot trend lines and resistance and support, but how do you get to the point where you're confident in what you're charting?
You just have to do it, my friend. There's not really going to be a time where you're confident. Not for, I would say, another 6 to 18 months before you're like, hey, I've got this. But the only way to do it is to do it. And the more that you do it,
just know that we do it, and then watch where it goes from there to see if our trend lines were correct, and if support was indeed there, and so forth.
Right, correct. That is, that's it. I'm going to try to share my screen with you guys, and we'll just go in and chart. Let's see, here we go. I think that's it. Here we go. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Is there a chart that you want to look at right now that we could break down together? Or just a company that you know of?
Can we HMNY? Can we do HMNY?
What was it?
HMNY.
What's the ticker?
That's the ticker, HMNY. Movie Pass parent company.
NY? Is that right? Am I hearing that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is a penny stock. So trading options, we will, I'll teach you guys to stay away from stocks that are under $35 and really try to aim under $50. You want to do something above that. Reason why is stocks control 100 shares. Every contract controls 100 shares of stock. So if you have 100 shares of only a $2 stock, that's only $200 worth. But if you control 100 shares of a $200 stock, then now we're talking about is that 20,000? 20,000 that you're controlling. And so you need a little bit of oomph to a stock to be able to. So this one, but let's chart it out. You mentioned it, so let's talk about it. And then if anyone else has another one that they want to do, shout it out. If not, I can definitely pick one and we can do it that way. So charting, support and resistance need to have at least 2 touch points. So let's do like a support here. I'll show you this. I'm just leveling this line out. We're going to drag this thing up. Here's maybe a support, a minor resistance, a ceiling right here. You see at the top of this green candle, it's touching the top of that red body, the top of that red body, top of that red body, boom. But you see over here, it doesn't really apply to that green candle, and it definitely doesn't apply, as it goes over here. It kind of does right here. You see the bottom of that red body. So in support and resistance, it's these sideways lines. You're looking for 2 touch points at least, and the more touch points that it has, the stronger it is. Now you're saying, well, Tim, not everything's touching, or like this green body is right in the middle, or that long wick is beyond. So is there any preface there of what's important? I would say this: the bodies, the actual bodies themselves, like the top or the bottom, hold a greater weight. But you can also use wicks, which are these, lines to the top or to the bottom. So first, you're looking to just look to find a place where it's hitting, where there's a lot of contact there. And there's not much over here. I mean, if you were to take this same line and pull it down over here, maybe you could say like right here, all of these candle bodies are basically using as resistance. And then, you could draw another line and put it down here. But you can see that it's just going to be by doing it. This chart is trending down, so I'm going to draw a trend line. And the rule with trend line is that you're going to go to your highest point. You're going to go to your highest point, and then you're going to try to get at least 3 touching points. So I'm dragging it past this candle bodies here, and then maybe here, something like something like this. So this would probably be close to it. So I went to the highest point, and then I captured all of these wicks right here, and then not really too much here, a little bit loosely, and then again down here, there's 3 touch points, and what you should be able to do is draw this thing out, and if this trend line is true, it's going to be continuing to move to the downside. But look here, it broke the trend line and it's moving sideways. So when charting from a technical standpoint, and I'm creating actually some more content just around technical analysis, and I can give you guys access to it absolutely free. It's going into another course, but I'm all about helping people. So I'm creating that content now, and in trend lines, it can be trending downwards or it can be trending upwards, and you're looking for 3 points of contact. You generally go back at least 6 months to a year. And as was it John or Stuart? Someone was saying, just let it. The best way to find out if you're right is just to put it on there and then wait a few weeks and come back and see what happens. Let some time pass on, and and see if your lines held support. I do know that Jesse was talking about FinViz. I'll let you guys look at that, but FinViz can put down some charting for you guys on some charts. So you can maybe chart something out, then go over to FinViz and see if they have any of the same lines. Is there any other ticker that you guys want me to look at? If not, we just do like the S&P.
Just on the trend line,
Yep.
Can you be correct, and still be wrong? Like, is it 100% accurate?
It's not. I'm glad you asked that. That's a great question. So the reason why charting from a technical standpoint works is because you and me, the investors, say it works. So everyone else is kind of playing by the same rules, and everyone else knows that a trend line has 3 touch points. And so what moves prices? Investors do by buying and selling it. And so other investors say, oh, this trend line, this is a trend that I see. And if enough people see that, then it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so that's whenever it works. But when does it not work? Whenever it doesn't work. And that's because it's not a law. It's not an absolute. It's not a guarantee. It's just an indication that could possibly give you some insight to what could happen, but not necessarily what's absolutely going to happen.
No guarantees.
Yeah, no guarantees. Any tickers that you guys want me to look at? And we can chart them together, and then maybe you could go and chart them on your own time and see.
No, I'm not that far advanced to have looked at any or.
Okay, well, let's just do the SPY. So you can see, like, if we draw a trend line here, we're just going to start all the way back here in 04. And I'm just trying to touch this thing to as many places as possible. Oh, I like this. So this is a great example of trend line. You're thinking, well, Tim, you're not capturing any of this movement up to the top side. But look at this. Back in 04, it was obviously trending up, and then it comes down to this resting point. Or was it back in 04? It's back in 2016, excuse me, back in 2016. And then a year and a half later, comes back to that point. A year and a half into the future, comes to that point. And then we have this huge correction, and it comes pretty much near that point. We've got, these three candle bodies that are all sitting on it. This wick comes up to that. So it comes and flirts around that point. And then, 2 years into the future, it comes back to that. And then look, it drops down, and what does it do? It now treats that old support, this old support trend line, as a resistance trend line. And if we draw this thing out even further, we can see that it continued to use it again as resistance right around here, pretty close using it as resistance right around here, and then it's bouncing up. So can you see how we're talking over a few years, and how this thing is still holding true? It's still having price points. The only reason why it's holding true, again, is because we as investors say this is a known fact of trading, is that there are trend lines, that there is technical analysis. And so, let's look over here. Like this wick, people say, hey, it should go up to that price point. And then it went all the way up to that price point, and then bears came back in and sold and pushed it down. And so, or this wick that comes down, it's like, hey, it should be able to, the market says it should go down lower, or that, there's a lot of fear that people said, nope, this is a strong point, and they drove it back up. And so so the more that you chart and the more technical analysis that you do, you're going to find more and more and more that it's more of an art versus a science. And it's more of an indication that gives you an idea of what's going to happen versus an absolute law or fact. And
when you're drawing that trend line, it does not have to be red to red to red. It can be red to green to red to green, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So you're just looking for mainly, like I mentioned, you're mainly looking for candle bodies, but sometimes you can use, wicks. Like for instance, that's a wick, that green doji. That's a wick, and it can be any color, green or red. Like this.
And it doesn't have to be to the top of that body, to the top of that body, to the top of the next body, right? It can be top or bottom. Yeah,
that's right. So it can be top to bottom, bottom to bottom, bottom to top to top to top. So you can do it in any variable. All you're looking for is, since the tops and the bottoms of candle bodies, both green and red, all they do is they indicate a price point that either the market opened or closed at. So all you're really trying to do is find a common price point. I will say, and I didn't tell you this now, I should have told you it earlier. It's easier. Let's see. It's easier to chart. Do you really? Yes. It's easier to chart whenever you're first getting started using what's called a line chart, which is what I just transformed it over to, because you can take this thing and you can kind of wiggle it up. And so you're not worrying about tops and bottoms. You're kind of just worrying about, points.
Yep.
And so you can see how it's a little bit easier with a line chart. See how I was able to capture a few points back here, was able to capture a point there, capture a point here, and then somewhat there, and then it's kind of close over here. And so it's a little bit easier to do with a line chart whenever you're first learning how to chart. And you can
when we're first learning and doing the top 30 Dow stocks, what's the recommended period of time to practice on? Like a couple of years, 1 year?
Okay. That's a good question. Yeah, it's going to be different for everyone, honestly. Some of you are going to feel like you get it right out the gates, and you're going to be able to chart, and this is how you know you've got it, is whenever, like, let's say I put this line on here and I come back, it's SPY, so I wouldn't leave it alone for 3 months. But let's say it's some other stock that I don't look at, and I come back in 3 months from now, and this thing is still holding true, and it's still bouncing around inside of, somewhere around this. Then I'd go, man, I've got this. Now, that's going to take some time for you to get there, and the only way to get there is just by simply doing it. Some of you, you're going to pick it up in 3 to 6 months, and some of you it's going to be 12 to 18 months. But especially as you get started, it's just really important to, I would say, aim to chart 5 minutes a day. Just go in there, and all you're doing is it's kind of like I have a 2-year-old son, and whenever he learns to ride a bike, he's on this little like scooting bike that has training wheels, and he's using his little feet. It's not even pedaling. At some point he'll be pedaling with training wheels, and then at a different point he'll be pedaling with no wheels, and so on, and then mountain bike and going crazy. But you got to start somewhere. And so
what I was asking though, let's say for the homework I chose to do SPY.
Yep.
To chart for the first time. When would I start the chart ideally? 2 years ago, or 1 year ago, or 6 months ago, or a week ago? That's where my question was coming from. What period of time to do a trend line should we be looking at when we're beginning and just trying to learn the basics?
Yep, for sure. I would say look at at least a year of time.
Yep.
Go out between 1 year back to 5 years back. And look at that. But if you go really far out, like let's see, what is this? This is 2014, so this is 4 years. If you go really far out, it kind of just gets a little harder to chart. You can turn your period into longer periods. So I went from a day period where every little candle body would be 1 day to week periods, and now I'm able to see a lot more time. I would encourage you, stay on a daily. Start in a line chart and aim for at least a year, maybe 2 years back.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And so in the same chart, you can do trend lines, but you can also do support and resistance. So you could, like here's a support. Can y'all see that? So you see these 2 peaks right here, and then this peak. We only need 2 for these sideways lines. So that would be a support. And then let's see, I'll do another. That's one. And then maybe down here. Yep. So we've got a little peak down here. We've got a notch right there, and then 2 more notches down here. So that's a support. And you could just, you could fill this thing up till you're blue in the face. Just putting on these lines, and you could just continue to. Maybe here. Yeah. So there's a little bit of touch points right back here, and then there's a little bit of touch point right here. And so you could just do these things over and over. And what happens is, let's say the SPY comes down, starts moving down. We could say, oh, it broke this support or this floor. We can then expect it to stop around here. And then if it breaks this, we could then expect it to stop down here. And then if it breaks that, so forth, you could expect it to stop maybe like somewhere down here, capturing this price points. So you can see that, it's how much strength does it have to move to the downside and to the upside too. Let's say, there was multiple resistance to the upside. If it breaks one, then you could say, the next resistance is actually going to be, the market high, which would be here. So let's say it plows through this, then we could, you could say, is it going to break that trend line, or is it going to bounce down? Let's say it does break that trend line, and then your next one would be this resistance up here. So you can see, there's some fluidity here. It's not really set in stone. It's kind of the art aspect of it. The important things that you need to know is that these horizontal lines, they need to have 2 points. These trend lines need to have 3 points. The more points of contact, the stronger that support resistance or that trend line is.
Good.
Perfect. What else can I do for you guys?
I can't take in more than an hour at a time, so that's very helpful for me so far.
Perfect. Does that sound interesting to you guys as far as the extra content around technical analysis? Is that something y'all want? Are y'all feeling good? You just want to get out there and chart?
No, it's probably a bit early for me for that. I'm just sort of going through the 6 modules at this stage. So maybe in a week or 2 or a month, I'll change my mind on that at the moment. But I was week doing trend lines at the moment, and that's all I want to do.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, hey, if I'll put that ball in your court. If you come down later down the road, reach out. As we continue to go forward, I'm 100% in your corner and to help see you succeed, because the more that you guys succeed, the more that I succeed, we all succeed together. And I'm huge about transparency inside of community. I believe if you put those two things together, you'll naturally have growth. And whenever we do that together and just continue to, say, hey, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm experiencing, we're all able to succeed together. And my goal is with Option Legacy is to empower enough people that are actively trading that in 1 calendar month that we would close out collectively $1 million of profit out of the market. The market is over a $7 trillion market. So there's plenty enough room for us to have a sliver of the pie, and $1 million is a drop in the bucket. But to be able to accomplish that goal, I need you guys to be able to succeeding with me in trading.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah.
And I just want to say I'm enjoying the course, and I love your attitude and culture.
Perfect.
So let's keep going.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, well, this concludes the call. If you need anything further, the best way to reach me is inside that Facebook group. That is the #1 resource. Of course, you can email me or direct message me. But if you're having a question, odds are someone else is having a question, and we'll all get it together.
And is this a one-off, or this is a regular time for this sort of thing?
This is as far as this call, it's regular. Every Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I go live, and as just continue to introduce more students to it, there'll be just more people coming and go, and the goal is that going as well. So,
okay, mate. Thank you very much. Really enjoyed it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, ciao, guys.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.